Hello, everyone. Today we got to play Unearth. So Unearth is a dice placement,
dice rolling,
set collection, dice rolling, all of those things. But before we get into it, Rob, can you tell us a little bit more about the game?
Sure, but if you want to know more about it, what are you going to do?
Well, you're going to hit the subscribe button
and
the notification bell. And it's not about this particular game, about all the games that we play.
But this one in particular, you'd be notified because maybe you were interested in Unearth. And, you did search.
But if they were already on here, they would have clicked it before now to see this. So.
Probably.
But see, that's what happens if you don't. You miss out on wonderful content. So.
Yes, this game would never have been unearthed.
Aha!
I feel like we're in the Jungle Cruise movie.
Board Game Geek gave this a rating of 6.9 and plays 2 to 4. Designed by Jason Harner and Matthew Ransom. Art, please forgive me, David, because I don't know if I can pronounce your last name correctly, but Pietrandrea and Jesse Ringel. Published by Brotherwise Games. I'm not for sure if I know anything else that they did. I'd have to look that up. MSRP is $34.95, but Geek Market's $25. Your FLGS probably has a little bit cheaper. And we did play with the expansion called The Lost Tribe.
Oh, we paid with part of the expansion.
But it's still available.
Basically,
and that comes with it as well.
The little cute figures come with it.
What are the cute figures for?
They're just the tribes that are in this, so they made a figure for them. Whether they have any purpose in the expansion, I don't know, because we haven't played the expansion except for your purple dice.
Despite them interrupting me, the Lost Tribe expansion is available for $19.95. That's everything. Now you can criticize whether we got to play with the expansion or not.
We didn't.
Okay.
All right. So talking about quality of pieces, the dice are a swirl color, so it has the color with a little bit of pearlescence in it.
They're pretty.
They're pretty.
Yep.
And then you have a tarot-sized cards. There's no real texture to them, but the thickness is okay.
They're pretty. Yeah, they're pretty nice. Well, when we get to the theme, we'll talk about.
Yeah, and the same thing with these cards. The thickness is good, but again, no texture.
And then as far as these little pieces, which we'll find out about in gameplay, standard cardboard.
Yeah. If anything, on the little thin side, I think. But overall,
nice
6
dice.
Yeah.
6 nice dice. Okay quality.
Because of the swirlies, I'll give it a 6.5.
Yeah, I was going to say
I would have thought I went up a whole point for you just for having purple in the expansion.
Well, now that you bring that up, you did have to buy an expansion for it, so I'll give it half a point at 6.5.
All right, 6.5.
6.5. So moving on to theme. So basically, there's a theme to this.
Yeah, it's lost tribes in this,
and it has something to do with unearthing.
Yes, you're discovering these civilizations. And that's about it. It's really there's not a lot as far as story, but I like the cubic kind of art.
I love the art.
It kind of looks like Minecraft,
type of look to it, but I really like the artwork.
And the color choices are really nice.
I like the color choices quite a bit. So for theme-wise, I would probably give this a 6.5 just because the colors are pretty.
Well, I like the art a lot more than that. I want to give it at least a 7.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you?
I'm surprised you didn't go higher because there's not one but 2 purple card suits.
Yeah, but you know how hard it was when trying to actually play the game?
To differentiate them, yeah. I don't know why they didn't choose to do a yellow, but actually it may have been
dark
too
yellow,
bright.
A mustard would have
been
fine.
Might have been too bright.
No, they could have
for
done a dark one, a dark mustard.
I can't believe I just said that, actually, now that I think about it. I take that, I
yellow.
rescind that. I like the 2 purples.
There's other colors.
But still, I liked it 7. What were you going to give it, Randy?
I'm probably right there with the 7. There's not a lot of story, not a lot of but I think the creatures are really cute. They're all throughout the book as far as the rules. They've carried them through, and the art on the cards is just beautiful.
And this has been re-released for a 2nd edition. I did see that. So the version I have the 1st edition, so I don't know what the difference is between the 2.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to rules, they were pretty easily to understand, right?
Yeah. The rules are real simple. It's a 12-page rule book, and it goes through a good job telling you how to set it up. There's just for being I guess it has an average number of examples, but we didn't have any confusion with it when we went through.
So give it a score.
But you have cards and cheat sheets.
Oh yeah,
you have cards. The cards do a good job with scoring. And
yep, that's all I needed.
Yeah, because you really don't need too much on it. I'll go ahead and give it probably an 8. It does a good job.
I think I'd go a little bit higher because we gave a game 8 not so long ago and it didn't have a cheat sheet. Not that it didn't really need it.
Well, I think the rulebook is a little more in depth than that one, where it actually had all of the cards and everything in the book. This one does not.
But it didn't need it.
Well, I mean, with the Delver cards, some of them, if you could have a question on it.
I guess.
Yeah. You want to go higher than that?
Yeah, 8.5.
Okay.
Because I do own this one and I like it quite a bit. I don't know if I got it before you guys did, but I had it for a long time.
I got it when it was released at Gen Con.
So did I.
So we got it probably at the same time.
Yeah, I really remember when I first opened it up how much I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna give it 8.5 just because I'm different.
Okay. So moving on to actual gameplay, it's actually pretty straightforward. So you have a set of dice. You pick the dice that you're going to roll, and you pick the location that you're going to roll it at. You're going to roll it, and you're going to put it on that tile. If it is a 3, 2, or 1, you'll pick.
There will normally be hexes on the tiles.
You will pick the color of hex that you want. If there's choices, sometimes there aren't. A lot of time there's not. And then you're going to place it on your building area. Now, as you continue the game, So this is very much up like Smash Up. You're trying to break the card at this difficulty level.
And it's all dice, not just yours.
Yeah, so it is all dice. And you're actually going to be creating, you'll show a picture here, of these hexagon shapes as you go and collect these tiles. And you'll make them in a circle, and once you make them in a circle, you'll score them. It's very similar to Heaven and Ale on that front. It's kind of what it reminded me of.
So in this example here, if I rolled, she had a 4 and a 1 with purple, and I rolled a 5, that would cause this to break because it's a 9 for the card. So at that point, you evaluate the highest number and they get the card. So as a 5, I would win the card, even though she had more dice there. She gets a compensation of a card from this Delver deck. These are abilities that let you break rules in the game.
Big time. Some of them are really powerful.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I ended up having like 13 in my hand, and I didn't know what to do with them.
Well, you can play as many of them as you want on a play, but you have to decide before you roll which ones you're going to play.
They can affect die roll and the positives and the negatives. It can
let you re-roll the dice that are on the
re-roll. There's
yours or other people's dice.
Now, there are some that were actually ended up being pretty useful to me, but I ended up with so many I kind of got overwhelmed with them. And then I guess, figured out how to use them. I ended up not having any in the end, so I guess I used them all. But there were a lot of times I used them and then ended up wasting them. So,
but I think the Delver cards is what made the game just a little bit more interesting. Without the Delver cards, I think the game would have been kind of boring.
Well,
but I really like the Delver cards and the fact that we didn't really talk about the scoring aspect of it, but it's the patterns that you make that add the strategy.
This was actually my funnest part was building the hexagon.
Yeah.
Faces.
I enjoyed that a lot.
That was my favorite. I ended up completing more than anybody else during the game because that was the piece I enjoyed. I enjoyed collecting the different cubes and creating the structures to meet the requirements for the cards. So that was actually my favorite piece of it. Like I got 2 cards the whole entire game, but I ended up completing my 3 circles. I wasn't too far off from. The scores were kind of close, weren't they?
Well, except for mine. I think I was way back.
Well, I wasn't trying to point that out.
Yeah. But no, I mean, you can score by collecting sets or runs of these cards. So there's 5 suits. If you get all 5 suits, you get 5 bonus points. But for each suit, the more you have, you can potentially score up to 30 points per suit if you collect every one of the cards in that suit. So you get benefits for trying to collect the same suit while you're playing. The other option, as you mentioned, is scoring on the hexes, where you get, when you make a complete set, you get a pattern, you get one of these. In addition, there's these wonder tokens where we have lesser and greater wonders. If you manage to get a complete set with all the same color, you get one of the great wonders, and they're worth 7 to 9 victory points. You
don't know what they are. They're all face down, so you draw one. And so you'll see then at that point you flip it over and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. You guys were fighting over the cards so much. That was the only way that I could have ended up winning. And I don't remember if I won or not. But I mean, that's just the way I got my points. Because honestly, I don't like fighting. So it's like, fine, have the cards.
And that's another reason why I like the game as much as I do, is because you can win, I think, with either strategy if you kind of focus on that. I think if you do a little bit of each, you may have a harder time winning the game. But if you're really focused on cards, there's a lot of points, but that's the set collecting. But if you focus on building your hexes and getting those center points and being lucky on drawing the 8s and the 7s and building your wonders, you can get a lot of points that way too. And
yeah, well, I think the key thing there as well as is that depends on how many players you're playing, what their strategies are, and you kind of have to find your niche. So everyone was fighting over cards, so I was just like, well, I'm just going to focus on my little circles. Right. And then that worked out for me. So overall, I thought that this was a pretty cute little fun little game. I'm probably going to give this maybe a 7. I'm thinking a 7.
Really?
Maybe.
I liked it quite a bit. I mean, I put this at the same level with you guys for Zool. I really like this game.
Okay.
I liked it. One reason why I like it so much is I love teaching it to people, and people pick up on it really easily, and they seem to enjoy it really well too. I don't know, something about it. Maybe it's a combination of the art. Maybe it's a combination of the kind of the tableau building, set collecting. It's just
it fits you.
It fits me well. I like it a lot.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I'm actually going. I'm going to go at an 8. I like it that much.
Well, the heck.
I'm somewhere between you two. I think I'm at a 7.5. I like it because it taught me that cash is king at Gen Con. Because this was one of the ones that was selling pretty well at Gen Con when it first came out. And I was in a line. Actually, the line was for the booth next to theirs. They had I forget which game it is, but it's one that was electronic devices where you scanned and it put the game on the
like
characters.
Gollum Arcana or something?
That's it. It was Gollum Arcana. And it was a novel thing, so it was right next to that booth. And they were backed up across
a lot of disappointing games, by the way.
Yes. So everybody wanted to see it that year that it came out. So I was in the line to check it out and the guy comes out of the back of the booth with 2 copies of it and said, "I've got these here if anybody wants one." Cash only at this point because there was another line for that booth and they were all paying charge for other items. So I had cash and he walked out literally right next to me. I was like, absolutely.
Sold.
Yeah. So that's how I learned my lesson. Make sure you always carry cash at Gen Con. But yeah,
you get better discounts too.
Well, sometimes.
Well, depending on the booth.
Yeah.
Depending on the booth.
So, but yeah, I mean, as far as the game, it is a good teaching game. It's a I'd say very light medium. It's probably not. It's not something I would just get out as an entry level without having some experience, because it is a little intimidating if you were just picking up a new game. It's definitely not at the same level as Ticket to Ride or any of those.
Right.
But it's not much more. And you get to roll cool dice. So I mean, not every game lets you roll 4-siders and 8-siders.
What was your score?
He said 7.5. He said 7. I said 8.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thank you guys so much. We had a blast, and hopefully you guys did too. We'll hope to catch you again. Bye.